Hello, everybody. Hi. All right, let's see. Get the comments. Make sure I have comments working today. All right. So I see a few people on. I know there's more earlier, but there was a wait for me to get on, so I lost a few people. Hello. How is everybody's day going? All right, I'm excited for tonight. So bear with me, guys. I am struggling today. If my voice seems a little off. And yeah, so a few more minutes, let a few more people hop on, and then we will introduce Sharita on for you guys. Ashley, I know. That's okay, I'm here. I'm gonna do the best that I can. Okay. I'm doing okay. Today was definitely tough. I'll make that for a whole nother day. So today is all about love life, attracting and manifesting love. If you're in a relationship, married, engaged, so just really fulfilling that and nourishing it and maintaining it. So we're going to talk all things love. If you can help out with questions, that would be excellent, because I am having a really hard day today. So we're going to definitely try and feed off of questions today. And that way, too, we are targeting exactly what you're looking for. And then at the end of this video, after Sharita leaves, I'm going to announce a new product that has to do with tonight's video. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring Sharita on. Here we go.
Hey!
My festive background.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am great and grateful. So I'm so excited to be on here tonight.
Me too, me too. So Sharita and I actually met at a love retreat.
Yep.
So like, why not do love together? All right, let's do this. We
Absolutely.
met in Jamaica. So
That was so amazing. That was such an amazing experience. And I had an opportunity to see your dynamic work ethic and your skills as a photographer. I mean, it's still lasting in my mind like 3 years later.
it's just gonna fall off the thing.
Right.
On everything. Crazy. So I'll have you introduce yourself real quick.
Absolutely. Great evening, everyone. And once again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me on. My name is Sharita Leon. I went from being a homeless, disabled single mom to a two-time #1 best-selling author with books that were on the bestsellers list for over 2 years straight. I'm also a life relationship and business coach, an internet marketing strategist, entrepreneur, international speaker, and the protege of legendary Les Brown, a Forex trader and investor. And I empower my tribe to live their God-given purpose while creating wealth and have healthy relationships.
Yes. And I'll breathe.
Yes, yes. I
So
love your lipstick, by the way.
thanks.
Yes, lips.
I love our red. We're festive here.
Yes, we have to.
All right. So let's see. Tell us about this love retreat. Sounds interesting.
It was amazing. So I actually met the founder of the Love Retreat at a conference that my best friend and I host yearly. And it was a retreat for both married and single women and men, of course. And it's Christian based. So there are different perspectives on how to maintain marriages, relationships, how to really make sure that you're doing your most even while you're single and doing it, in a way that's pleasing to God. So it was a lot of fun. We had so many laughs, so many breakthrough moments as
That's
well. I
an
mean, it became
understatement.
so personal. Just 3 days that we were together. It was powerful.
Powerful is probably like the biggest understatement.
Right.
Crazy, crazy. Yes, breakthroughs for sure. A lot of tears, a lot of power, a lot of
Yeah.
energy, so much energy. I was waiting for that building to start floating.
Right. Exactly. It was amazing.
So I think first, the most important thing too is I want to like put out here right now, while we're talking about energy, that love is the most powerful It can make, it can break. So that's kind of like what this is all about. So I want to make sure that we're focusing on the power of love, and you want to make sure that you are maintaining healthy relationships. So even if it's not a love life, there's something in here for you to take from it, because self-love is a huge thing. Compassion for your community, for people, your family, your friends. Love is all over the place and everywhere, and it's powering absolutely everything. And I know for me, without it, I would be in a mental breakdown literally all day long. I need that to power through, especially today and especially right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're sending love your way, strength your way, and all things good your way. God is love. And so, you literally have everything inside of you, regardless of what may be going on around. So we give you a whole lot of love today, and you're all is well. All is well.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments. I can actually see them today. So during my other live, they weren't showing up, and I think it was because I had my phone at the same time. So it was taking the Facebook comments onto my phone and off of here. So now I can see them. So that's excellent. So first things first, the most important thing, whether you're in a relationship or not, or you're looking to be in one, is a self check-in. So we have to make sure that we are okay, because we cannot give from an empty cup. We cannot receive if we are not giving, and giving to ourselves is included in that. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget to do. So I just want to see what your take is on that as well.
Oh, yeah. What happens a lot of times is, depending on how you grew up, depending on what infrastructure you had in your family, you tend to lean more towards love outwardly. So it's getting that relationship, getting the love from someone else to make you feel comfortable, making you feel like you're worthy. When the truth is, you are worthy whether you're in a relationship or not. And a lot of times, society puts pressure on you, especially as women, and you get to a certain age, and it's like, well, what are you doing? Something's wrong with you if you're not in a relationship, if you're not married, or if you don't have children yet. And that's not the truth. The truth is, if you're someone who knows what you want and you're loving yourself, you're willing to actively be single and wait for what you actually want. So you have to love yourself first. First and foremost. The book that I live by says you love your neighbors as you love yourself. So if I don't love myself, I can't love anyone else, and we don't often think about that. So for me, self-love is everything, and it's a journey just like anything else. Being able to do well for yourself is priority.
Absolutely. So Erin is asking, can you share some acts of self-love?
Great question, Aaron. Absolutely. So, one for me is peace, peace and meditation, right? Being able to stay away and just think, pray, writing in my journal. That's another great way to hear your thoughts, be able to deal with what you're dealing with, and then loving on yourself. Do you know what you actually like to do? So often we are on the, hustle and moving and getting things done that we don't even know what we really like. What are some things that you actually like to do, and do it? One of the things that I live by is getting a massage all the time. And I love massages. So treating yourself to physically feeling better, eating proper foods to make you better, right? And making sure that you're doing things that will sustain you and help you grow going forward. A lot of times we have retail therapy, and while it has its place, but if you're always moving to retail therapy but not actually providing, for your future financially and otherwise, that's a bit irresponsible. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself, be it from a personal level, a spiritual level, physically, as well as financially, is also really key.
Yes. And then Krista says, self-love is so empowering. It really, really is. So I'm going to take it on the flip side. So we're going to have two kind of perspectives going on tonight. So for me, to add on to that, another thing too for self-love, and I'm going to go into the whole energetic kind of like the other side of the world over here. Self-care, ritual baths, making sure we are spending time with self, getting to know ourselves. Journaling is excellent. You want to be open and honest to how you're feeling in the moment, not how you want others to perceive you as. I know I'm kind of being a hypocrite as right this second, but we're here for a purpose, okay? But checking in is absolutely everything. And when you are not sure. So you were saying something too along the lines of like, you need to know what you want. So there's a fine line between knowing what I want and thinking like, this is what I should have because of programming or how we were raised or what we believe, or maybe like we've had relationships that made us believe it after like over time. Um, so always check back to center and go back to like your roots and think internally and check in head, heart, and gut instincts and feelings. So if you're not liking it, it's okay not to like something. It's okay to have standards, and it's okay to be single. And this goes for people who are in relationships. If you're not sure, you really need to check in, because maybe you're not supposed to be in that relationship. It does not matter if you've had 20 years invested into this relationship. At some point, we're constantly evolutions of ourselves. We're constantly evolving and changing who we are. And with that, sometimes we do grow apart. And I think a lot of people are afraid to acknowledge that, and they live miserably for too long. And we have something from Ashley here. Do you believe, where is it? Oh, it's gone. Do you believe in the saying, when you know, as in when it comes to your person?
Yes and
I'm right
no.
there with you. Yes.
Well, I do believe that when you meet someone and you know that, oh my gosh, this is it, you have to be able to decipher between what is infatuation at the
Yep.
time and what is actually a fact, right? So
Mhm.
you get excited, like, oh my gosh, I feel butterflies, and has to be the one. Oh my gosh, he noticed that I had red lipstick today, and I always wear green. You have to be able to decipher between that emotional side and looking at the entire picture of what you say you want. That's why it's important to one, know what you really want, have those standards. And I'm a firm believer in knowing what your purpose is. And so when it comes to relationships with me, especially, with marriage, you want to make sure that the person that you're going to say I do to or create this lasting relationship with is in alignment with your purpose. And so while you may not have to do the same exact thing, but you know that, okay, this makes sense for us. So regardless of how we may feel at the moment, we know that we can always come back to what our foundation is.
Mhm.
So yes, you can meet someone that's like, man, I feel it. My spirit is aligned. That's it. And you feel that confirmation. Then there are times when, no, you were just a little too excited and you hadn't been on a date for a while. And so now that's the one. So being able to decipher between the two, really makes that much of a difference.
And I think going slow and pacing it too, especially when it comes to a new relationship or meeting someone, like you were saying, is it's so quick to jump into that infatuation. But it's hard to decipher too, because that's something you need to realize and give yourself time to learn this person, because going right into there, you want to be everything on their checklist. You have to make sure that you're being authentic. You're going to make sure that you're not trying to appease them and lose part of yourself in the process. And on the flip side, are they doing the same thing? Are they trying to win you over? Are they trying to create the checklist that you want? Or, they're like, hey, I'm here to meet you and I'm all these things and I do all these things, but like you're in there and you've been there for a month and then that stuff starts falling off, because that's not who they are. That's who they wanted to be perceived as. So take time. Patience is so important and so key. And trust your intuition. Trust it.
Yes.
But yeah.
Definitely.
Right. So what are some of your opinions and advice for what the quote of the day is, come to me? So how would you advise men, women, anybody interested in finding love? What are some things they can do out, like once they've done the self-love, they know their purpose, they know like what now, like what should they be looking for? What should they be doing next? How to attract it on your perspective side?
That's a great question. So, first you want to know what you want, but at that same moment, be out there, be present. And when I say be out there, I don't necessarily mean going on a million dates and just being reckless. What I mean by that is being emotionally available. What are you doing now to present yourself as someone who is ready to be, in a relationship? How are you positioning yourself, whether it's your home, whether it's the mindset that you have? What are you doing to actually bring that to you? Are you writing things down? I'm a big believer in writing the vision and making it plain, right? Are you writing it down? What is it you want? And also visualizing it. Visualization is huge. And so, do you see yourself being in that amazing relationship, being in that amazing marriage, and bringing that in? one of the things, especially as women, we have the ability to tap into our feminine energy and be able to be receptive and alluring. A lot of times, women they say they want to be in a relationship and they want that love, but they're not really open. And what I mean by that is, if they go out to, whether it's a restaurant, out on the street, or whatever the case may be, and someone's looking and trying to, give cues that, hey, do I have the okay to come and approach you? A lot of times their face is like, this big frown, and it's like, don't come here, you're probably like X, Y, and Z. And so now you
Or,
have
yeah.
not allowed you haven't allowed someone to actually feel like you're welcoming them in. So one of the ways to do that is by smiling, right? Being able to be present and get out of the house. Well, of course, pre-COVID, of course, but being able to find yourself in situations where you could be around people that would align with what is it you want, and visualizing it, praying about it, doing affirmations to align. In fact, I should have had it next to me, but I have one of my best-selling books, and it's called Prayers and Notes to My Future Husband. And in that book, I have several different prayers and affirmations to align with what is that I desire, praying for my husband before he even, is there, and allowing myself to be in that place prior to it ever happening is another way to attract what you want.
Yep. 100%, 100%. And then also, you had mentioned the prayers. So on my flip side, with hoodoo work, we use Bible and we use prayers and we use the communication with God and the higher powers. And you can take those prayers and add that as your intention, and you can use the items and ingredients to kind of add on to it. So we have, candles, there's certain herbs, there's certain aphrodisiac scents, there's oils. All these types of things can help add to it. And the main purpose of having those is to keep your intention intact. So by having those visual things there, it keeps your mind where it needs to be to bring on that manifestation and to keep that vision going. And prayers are absolutely 100% part of it. So this one, we're going to probably we're going to go through this one pretty quickly, I think, because I think it's kind of like a yes or no kind of answer. So are twin flames even a real thing? I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term.
I am familiar with the term, but it's funny. While Jennifer and I have many very different views and beliefs, there are certain things that we do agree on. And I think that also a lot of times there are certain terms that are said differently, but kind of mean almost the same thing. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, but twin flame could be similar to what some people may call a soulmate and things of that sort, correct?
Yeah, for the most part. I believe twin flames, some definitions go as far as to say that during a reincarnation period, a part of the soul split into two people. So it's
Right.
kind of like reconnecting and finding yourself, whereas soulmate might just be a predetermined, destined kind of a partnership or connection with somebody. And you can have, and I want to make this clear too, everyone's always like, will I find my soulmate? Because when I have people coming to me, and there's nothing wrong with that question, that is a valid question, but sometimes soulmate means friend. Sometimes soulmate does not mean right now. It may mean that they are your soulmate in this lifetime, but it does not mean that you are meant to be together. And I have to make sure like that is very clear, because I think everybody has this idealistic view. Thank you, movies and books and novels and all these things for making that kind of like this idealistic approach to what it is. We're looking for perfection. Um, but as far as twin flames, in my perspective, yes and no. I mean, I have really no experience or background with it. I read up on it. I've become educated in it to an extent. So I believe, if honestly, if you believe it's a real thing, it's a real thing. If you feel it, you feel it. Nobody can tell you otherwise.
Yeah. So again, I'm coming from a different
Mhm.
perspective. So it's going to be a bit different as far as, what my beliefs are, and, reincarnating in someone else's spirit and all that kind of stuff is
Way
something
out the
totally different. So, but what I do believe is this. I do believe that there are many people that can be suitable for you in a relationship, that you can say, you know what, this person has maybe the things that I have been desiring, my standards, we can work. And then I believe there's also that one person that may stand out of all of them the more, that you have a deeper connection and relationship with. That's what I believe. So yeah.
I hope that answers that question.
Right?
This one's a long one, but I know her and I would definitely want to approach it. I didn't even read it yet, so I don't even know if it's going to show up on screen because of the length of it. Okay, here we go. I'm in a relationship where it's a lot of back and forth type of deal. We both can't seem to break free. Rather, it's commit fully or split and learn from the lessons when we were together for just mind effing for the both of us because it would be a huge difference on our parts to fully commit since there's kids that would be involved. Granted, I can't tell you all the details in this right now, but yeah.
Okay, let me make sure I'm reading this again so I can. Okay. So if I'm understanding, properly, and Ashley, you can let me know, is it more so the fact that the two of you kind of you get together and then it kind of goes left, but you still keep finding yourself back to each other, and you really can't commit because it's going to be a little bit chaotic, and then you have children involved. Is that correct? Am I getting that? Is that kind of accurate? Okay.
I know it is, yeah.
Okay. So this is what I say to that.
And
It's
and just for the record too, it is
Mhm.
him that has the children.
Okay. So it's kind of like you're eating ice cream every single day. You're eating cake and fried chicken and pasta every single day.
Going into
Now
repetition,
you
I miss this food. I feel it. I feel it.
use your imagination, right? So you have all of this and you love how it tastes. You know it tastes so good. It's even comforting sometimes. Yet you get on the scale and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I just gain another 5 pounds in the last week? You go to the doctor and the doctor's like, hey, your cholesterol levels are high. You need to stay off of the fried foods. Now it tastes good. You enjoy it, but then you know it's not necessarily good for you. And so it is with a situation like that. You may find yourself being drawn to each other, and it's like, oh, when we're good, we're good. But when we're bad, honey, we are bad. And so we have to look at what is the end result? What is happening here? Maybe there's an attraction there that, excites you for the moment, but then it's not really what you actually want, which is why it's very imperative to know what are your non negotiables. And when you have all your non negotiables written and you are convicted on them, you're going to realize that, hey, yeah, he meets that one part, but everything else is a no. And so with that, you have to let it go consistently. And yeah, it's going to be challenging. Yes, it's going to be hard. You're going to miss that interaction that you have with each other. But overall, going back to self-love, loving yourself says, I'm not going to keep putting myself in this situation where at the end there's more damage than good.
Preach. I 100% agree with that, and that is something that we've talked about as well in private. So I know it's a struggle, and so this is something too. While we're on the topic of relationships that may or may not be the right one for you, and now we're kind of diving in, and I'll go back to these questions because there's one here, and this kind of piggybacks on this question that will be coming up. So a relationship doesn't have to be unhealthy to not be the right one, but there is relationships that are not the right one because they are unhealthy, and we have to be able to recognize this and be open to accepting that. And I think that's the hardest part, because when you were talking about going back and forth with relationships, a lot of times it's because it's an unhealthy relationship and we just cannot accept that. We either invested too much time, too much energy, we love them, no one's ever going to love me like that before or again. I'm afraid to be alone. It's better than being alone. I'm not financially able or stable. I'm going to stay because of that. So I really want to discuss kind of like what to look for an unhealthy relationship. So we'll take your take on that, and then we'll jump into this question that kind of piggybacks on that.
That's really good. I believe that we have to ask ourselves, am I in love with the idea of this
Yeah.
person or the actual person? And when we can be honest with ourselves and say, you know what, it's the idea, and find out, well, what is it about? What is it? The excitement that they bring? Is the spontaneity that they bring? What is it? Because sometimes people don't know what they want, unfortunately. But in that relationship, you figure out, okay, that's it. I need someone that's exciting. Okay, great, but he's not it
What
because he
has
has all
the
those
rest
other
of it?
issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So now you figured it out that it's not actually him or her that I'm actually wanting to be with. It's that part of them that brings something out in me. So now you get to write on your list of things what it is that you want to actually have in a relationship and then move forward and not go back to that. So being able to really take time to evaluate. See, we don't always evaluate things. We just get in headstrong and it's like, whoo, okay, this is great. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Being true for ourselves, and it's not always a comfortable thing. You know, we've probably, I'm sure you can relate to this, Jennifer, have been in situations where it's like, I know this is not working, but hey, here I am again. And they make me feel a certain way, or I can make them feel a certain way. That's the other thing, too, especially as women. We come in trying to nurture, and my love will make him better or make him change. And then it's like, no, you need to let that thing go. And so, that's my take on that.
And I want to add something too, and I want to like get like super close to the camera and like whisper it all in your ears and like ingrain this in your heads. You are not responsible for making their excuses. You do
Yep.
not have to make excuses for them. You do not have to justify their actions because they made you feel like you need to. Um, so definitely look into gaslighting. That is something that is now a term these days for
Right.
have been going on for a very, very long time. And with that said, we're going to jump into Lisa's question. So how do you not punish the one you're with currently because of the what someone else has done to you in the past? So like this is a long-term reprogramming. So how do we not self-sabotage with new healthy relationships? Because she's in
That's
one and
good.
I know she is.
That's good. Well, the first part of that is actually healing before you get into another relationship. And a lot of times, most people don't do that. Some people have the concept of getting rebounds. And well, I don't want to deal with the emotion. I don't want to feel like what I'm feeling like because I'm still brokenhearted. So let me try to ignore this feeling by getting someone else here to make me forget about the other person. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. Take the time to be by yourself and actually heal. Learn from the experience that you were in before, right? Why did it go wrong? How did you feel the way you felt? Why did you feel that way? And now forgive yourself for allowing the situation to happen. Take responsibility for your action, whether that was just simply staying in the relationship and being able to know that, hey, this is not what it needs to be. I'm learning from that. And then realizing everyone is not the person that I dated. So you don't have to bring on that baggage from this other relationship, one, because you're letting it go, you're healing, but then now giving someone an opportunity to truly prove themselves. Here in America, we say the judicial system, which is very flawed, but they say that you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think that we should keep that concept in relationships as well. Let someone prove themselves to be guilty. If they're not, they haven't done anything, give them that clean slate. You have to constantly remind yourself as well, hey, this is a new situation, this is brand new. Affirmations, being free from that past and allowing yourself to be present and literally take it a day at a time.
Yes, and an exercise that I give a lot of my clients who have these concerns, especially when it comes to trusting someone in a relationship, is at the end of every day, when you're in bed, you could be even laying next to the person, but in your own mind, I want you to reflect on the day and only the day, not yesterday, not last week, but reflect on the day. And did they do anything to justify your fear? If not, you had a good day, check it off and do it again tomorrow. And
Yes, I like that.
oh, you have to keep it going.
That's
Um,
good.
let's see here. I just saw something. Oh, yes, I agree. I like that. Not a question, but it's right.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You have to make space for what you are saying you want and you desire. And so a lot of times we wonder, well, why isn't this working? And why is this? There's too much clutter. There's emotional clutter. There's spiritual clutter. You haven't dealt with anything yet. And then you're like, well, why can't I receive? So let's just use this for an example. If my hands are full right now, and let's just say like I have a whole bunch of coins in my hand, and literally the moment I even take my finger out to take, just make some space, I'm going to let go of something. So it is in life, whether it be relationships or otherwise. If I'm always holding on to something, I can't make room to receive. So I have to let go of everything. So that way I have full access to have what is actually divinely mine. And so this is where we have to say, you know what? I'm letting go. A lot of times we hold on to those past memories because we say to ourselves, well, I'm not going to let this happen to me again. But what you don't realize that you're holding that thing on. So now you're sending a
Give
different
them power.
signal. You're saying one thing with your mouth, but then you're acting differently. So now you're putting out all these different, signals out into the world, and you're wondering why is this happening. You're not clear. You're not focused. So you have to choose to either let go or choose to hold on and still be stuck. And obviously, we don't want that. So we need to let it go and receive what's for us.
Yes. And then on my side of of the world, when we do this so often, it becomes a programming. And before I even get into what I was going to say, something that I do now with my children, and because I want to instill it early, is to not hoard, but because hoarding becomes, an emotional attachment. So, before holidays, before birthdays, we try to either give them experiences, or if they are asking for items, we have to make space. So we donate the items. We don't throw them out. We donate them, give them a new purpose. We recycle them for something else. We
That's good.
so that way we have room, so we don't build up clutter, because physical clutter makes mental clutter. Mental clutter
Mhm.
creates a cross condition, and then you block yourself, and you block
Yep,
yourself from receiving.
absolutely.
And then there's just a funny question. I love it. I'm going to read this one first. I haven't read it yet, so here we go. The hardest part is walking away. Yes, I left the abusive narcissist with every possible trait. I left the worst situation of my life completely. It feels, but met someone else, and we have had a lot. We've spent time together and apart, and I keep ending up back here with him. Now, Crystal, just a
Which him?
question. Are you talking about the one you left, or the someone you've met? Or we can just answer for both, I guess.
Right.
So let's just assume because I don't want to wait on comments. Let's just assume that they went back to the abusive narcissist.
It goes back to kind of like what we were saying before.
Yep.
What is drawing you back? I think sometimes what happens, we feel as if our emotions are so real and so we are led by our emotions, but the truth is we have control over our emotions. While that may seem totally impossible, and it's like, yeah, Sharita, but you don't understand, the truth is we do. Now, depending on how strong we're being led and matured in our emotional intelligence, it determines how we actually respond. But the thing is, most people don't respond, they react. And so when you're reactive, it's like when back in the day you would go to the doctor and they would hit your funny bone, your knee, and automatically your leg would just kick out. Well, that's what being reactive is. But when you take time to respond, you actually are evaluating the situation, and you're ensuring that you are being present the proper way to be rhetorical on that situation. So you have to find out, why am I back here? There's no one force pulling you there. It's you that has the responsibility to say, I'm not going back. Is it hard? Yes. Do we have memories? Yes. Can I walk away and stay away? Yes. So you have to make sure that you're taking the responsibility of that and creating boundaries and barriers. That's the other thing that we don't like to often do, because we walk in these gray areas, we live in these gray areas, and it's like, well, why is this happening again? Well, you didn't create a boundary and stick to it. And sometimes with boundaries that are being created, you need accountability. You need to be able to call maybe a good friend or a coach, someone, say, this is how I'm feeling right now, and I think I'm going to call so and so back. Don't.
Yes.
Okay,
Good.
good. Yeah, awesome, Crystal.
So she was talking about the one that she met, but I feel like in that one particular comment, there wasn't enough context to kind of give a response.
Right.
So it says, we've had a lot. We spent time together and apart, and I keep ending up back here with him. And the only reason why I question that is because of your phrasing. So, and I keep ending up back here with him. So it almost seems like a negative connotation towards it. So Oh, I can wait for your response and we're gonna move on, and then we can come back to that if we get something. This one's funny, so let's do it. How long should we make a man wait for the goodies? We're just gonna go right in.
Oh boy.
I
Well,
need some water.
so let me first preface this by saying, as you guys know, once again, that I have a totally different perspective as Jennifer and believe different things spiritually. So the way that I believe from my spiritual beliefs is that you wait until marriage. Now, I know that many people are not going to do that. So this is what I will say. While your hormones may be raging, you have to ask yourself, does this person deserve me? Have they proven to be worthy of my body? And that's where we have to really go back to that self love. Because if I love myself seriously and totally, I'm not just going to allow anyone to come and get the goodies. Because they are just that, the goods, the jewels, the power of who you are, the essence. You're allowing yourself to be, as women, we're receptive, we're receiving now someone else into us, someone else's energy, their past, all of that is happening. So you have to say, after this 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or however long you guys are doing what you're going to do, are you going to feel confident that you made the right decision? If the answer is no, then don't do it. But this is the other thing, too. Men want to know that you see yourself as valuable. So if you just get in there, you guys just met, maybe date one, date two, and he's able to boom, get in and get out, he may not see you the same way. And so you want to make sure that you are showing that you want to respect yourself, and then two, that you have standards, and let them prove themselves before you say, here, you can have it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I forgot what I was gonna say now, so well, never mind. Um, just wanted trying to think of something to kind of transition from there because I don't see any. I'm gonna scroll up real quick. I think that's all of the. Okay, so here's one. It's a little bit on the sad and dark side. So brace yourself for this one. So I'm gonna start off with this one.
Mm.
I will put that one on you right now. So you thought you found the right one, and he took his own life. So right away when this happens, especially if you feel like this person was the right one for you, I want one thing right now to be said to you, and it's I don't want you to feel any responsibility or anything because it has nothing to do with you. And in most cases, this has been going on in the shadows a lot longer than probably you even been in their life. So there's nothing you could have done. And I don't want you to think anything towards yourself with that. Because I see this a lot. Okay. So I do see this a lot. And it's, well, then that shows that I wasn't worthy of them staying. I wasn't good enough for them to stay for me. So like if it wasn't me, so then they carry that with them, that guilt, that fear. So I want you to know that is not the case. This is an internal struggle that someone else is dealing with, and there is nothing when you are at that point. It is very, very difficult to sway anyone, no matter how much they love you. And I bet you any money they did, and they do. And so I had to say that first.
Absolutely. And I agree with Jennifer. You know, people go through different things. And oftentimes it's also um, medically imbalanced in their minds, and so you don't want to take on that responsibility. While that's something really hard, because one, you love that person, and you had hopes and dreams and created a future in your mind with that person, and now that they're gone, there's, it's easy for you to feel a certain way. And so what I'm going to charge you to do is be reminiscent of the great memories that you all had, and allowing yourself to say that you were the one, or he was the one, in the time in which you were in their lives, and not seeing it as this is, final, but that there are other people that you will find later on in life that may be for you, and you guys experience, all the great things. So once again, being able to see what the memories are, embrace those memories, and be expecting even more and greater as the time progresses, and allowing yourself to learn from that experience, heal. I know it's gonna be very challenging, and I pray, God's peace and blessing be with you as you're dealing with this process, because I know that's not an easy thing to deal with.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of relationships, because we did talk, single life, attraction,
Mhm.
what to do to get them, and, open up to receive. So now let's enter relationship land. We're not quite married yet. Okay. We're in a
Mhm.
relationship. We've been together long enough to, be solid, to not, we have a title. Okay. What are some things that you think are good for basically nourishing and maintaining them? And then we'll see if there's any questions that come in terms of like, is this a flag? What should I do? This is happening often. What should I do in this case? So if you guys have actual questions regarding things that are going on in your life, how should I handle a certain situation with my partner? Um, Please ask. But right now we'll go into kind of like nourishing and maintaining.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that happens all the time, especially if you're with someone for a long time, you get so comfortable that you stop doing the things that made them interesting in the first place or made the relationship exciting. And so, I believe that, especially if you like someone, it's so much easier when you like the person you actually love. I'll say it again. It's so much easier when you like the person you actually love, because in that point, you actually have a friendship with them. You
Yeah.
guys can joke around. You guys can be friends and be the BFF. And then the love sustains all that you are as you grow and cultivate it. But being mindful of that person's need, understanding how they receive love. Do you know what their love language is? Are you keeping things exciting? Are you just seeing yourself in the relationship, or are you allowing yourself to be there for the other person and making sure that they're always good, right? So a lot of times we have to deflect from ourselves, look at the other person, see this as a whole, and keep things exciting. Give, right? A relationship, I believe, especially a marriage, should be two people trying to outgive each other, not necessarily what can you give me. And I think that's what happens to a lot of relationships, where people are just in it trying to figure out, well, what can you do for me, what can you do for me, and they're always trying to take rather than putting a deposit in there. And whenever you sow a seed, you have to reap a harvest, and you need to see that the same way in your relationship.
Yes. And you said something. Oh my gosh, my brain is broken. So I'm just gonna phrase that right now.
It is not broken. Your brain operates the way it needs to, with all great neurons and everything needs to function properly. Your brain is powerful.
um, so so I want to make it clear too, with relationships, is to keep in mind that a relationship is not, you can say we've been together for 6 years, we've been together for 244 hours and 52 seconds. There's all types of people out there. Um, you can be in that relationship, but at the end of the day, it is always a single day. So that relationship starts over every morning. There's a new start. Don't go to bed angry. That's a very
Yes,
popular phrase, yes. But sometimes that's not possible. But in the morning, it's a fresh start. So every day you choose each other. And another thing
yes,
too is a relationship is not he makes me whole. I do not like hearing that. I hate hearing that, or I want to feel whole again. Uh,
right.
you will never feel whole if that's what you're expecting, because a relationship is 100% with a 100%, not a 50-50 make a
That's
whole.
right.
So you're not meant to be fixing people. They're not meant to be fixing you. So, um,
I agree.
so how are you? She's good.
I'm great, thank you.
And then for nourishing and maintaining too, and I like that you said you have to like your partner, because that's something I started doing. Nico and I, it's so easy. We say I love you all the time. We say it like nonstop all the time. And I started saying I like you. So like when I'm in my field, I don't say I love you. I say I like you. Like I'm affirming like you're my friend, you're my partner,
Yes.
like you are my person.
Absolutely. And being committed to the work, it's not a one thing we get in and it's like, whoo, all right, we're, great for the rest of our days. It doesn't, not a kuda matata. It doesn't work like that. You have to make sure that you are actively growing and seeing it as a priority. And when you see it as a priority, you're able to literally feel the difference. You guys are willing to commit to the betterment of the relationship and have fun as you're doing it.
Yes, yes. Can you see the comments in here or no?
No, I can't see them.
Okay, this one's for you.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't she though?
What's the question? Oh, Lord.
So I don't know how close we're getting to your time.
We're getting close.
Like,
Well, this has been fun. I enjoy this. I definitely enjoyed it. I can tell you, I can see you reading.
I can't answer these questions right now. They think I'm doing a different video. I'm sorry. This is a talk show. It was with the relationship topic. Okay, so let's dive into like marriage. Oh no, I remember now. Sorry. Like literally, I'm not kidding when I say my brain's broken. It's going. And I forget again. So we're gonna forget. That's frustrating. Okay.
You were just talking about marriage and you said no, we're not gonna do that. And then you remembered what it was. Was it the in between
Yeah.
state?
Yep. Okay, here's one you can answer while I try to remember what I'm talking about.
What is the most important thing in a relationship? That's a good question. I think that it's, relative to the people that are in the actual relationship. But one thing I can say is that, having proper communication is very key. And understanding that oftentimes your partner speaks a different language than you. And I don't mean literally, but figuratively. This is why it's important to understand what their love languages are. So let's just say, for example, my main love language is a receiving of gifts. Let's just say my partner's love language is words of affirmation. So if I am looking to give my partner love the way I receive it, I'm gonna just, give them a whole bunch of gifts. Like, oh my gosh, I saw this, I thought about him, I'm gonna go give this to him. Now he may say like, oh, that's cute, thanks. And it's like, that's it? Really? What is wrong with him? So now I'm in my mind thinking that he's so ungrateful. How dare he? Does he know what I did? I had to leave work early. I had to go across town, get stuck in traffic to get this for him, and he's so unappreciative. Meanwhile, all he wanted me to tell him is like, oh my gosh, babe, you are amazing. I can't believe how effortlessly you close those deals. Now he feels like a superhero. He needed me to give him words of affirmation because that's his main love language. So when you understand what your partner's love language is and have that proper communication between the two, that is very key to sustaining and building a relationship. Also, making sure that you all have trust. And trust is built, right? It's not something that happens overnight, but you build that trust and knowing that even if you hear something out in the street or something happens and maybe the person had a bad day and they say something, you're like, what? Based on the trust that you have in that person that they didn't mean it that way. Or what someone else said, there's no way. I know my person. They're not going to do that. Right. So trust is big. Communication is big. Enjoying the person, having, fun in that relationship, communication, trust, and being someone that's always willing and ready to take your relationship to the next level. So, there's a couple key things for me.
Yes, and I remember. So I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget again. So here's something that I know is a frequent thing, and this is something that we kind of touched base on when building trust is important. But and you highlighted the fact that it's not always honky dory. It's not going to always be perfection, and like you can't expect that to be. But I have a question for you, and I'm sure someone out there has this question but does not want to ask. Is what happens and what is your opinion on a relationship that kind of starts rocky? Is that a red flag? Or is that because I see a lot of times people will say, well, it started off rough and like that was our hardest part, but we proved that we got through the worst. Like it doesn't go worse from there. So like there's a fine line.
Right.
What can someone look for to kind of differentiate between, is this a bad sign in the beginning, or is this just something like because our personalities, like we're meant to be together, but like it's just something minor clashing? Is it stupid? Is it petty?
Right. That's a really good question. And whew, child. Okay, so this is the thing.
Gonna grow off with a bang.
Right. There is a difference between having a bumpy start, whether it's because of a lack of communication, maybe it's having the wrong expectations, or maybe not fully, making clear what your expectation is. I know for many times women, we may expect a man to know what to do. Like, you should know. You should have called me. You should know I wanted you to text me this one. You should know X, Y, and Z. And meanwhile, men don't think like we do. And they're like, well, why didn't you just tell me to call you? And so now you have this whole emotional side of things, and you've created this story in your head that we often do. See, this is where we have to be able to say, what actually happened, and what am I telling myself happened? And when you can do that, that's a huge sign of growth and maturity, and being able to say, you know what, let me actually address what took place and not what I created in my mind,
Mhm.
to happen. And so when you look at that and say, okay, we got into an argument because of false expectations. We talked about it. Is it happening again? Like, if you're able to discuss something that did not work well for you or for your partner, and they say, you know what, I'm sorry, I'll work on it, we're gonna do it again. Can you see real, actual, consistent behavior on what they said and what they're doing? Or did they say, you know what, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, but then they're completely eradicating their words by their actions? You
Right.
should see some type of growth, some type of fruit. If that hasn't happened, then there's a great indication that that's probably not the one that you want to give your time to. Also, being able to see, is this person intentionally hurting me? Like, there's a difference between having an argument, but if this person, every time, we have more fights, do I feel drained every time? Is it 90% of the time me being drained, and then 10% of the time we're good? Like, looking at these things, and a lot of times, if that is the answer in the situation, that person is probably not for you. And then sometimes it may be a time situation, maybe need to be separated and grow. A lot of times when things like that happen, and they happen consistently, is because you have not taken the time to actually grow and heal individually, both you and or the other person. And so if you're still dealing with all the baggage from the past, and you're coming together to try to make something work, but you're not healed, it can clash. So time can tell, and their consistent behavior will tell you.
Yes. And also to make note that, or no, this is like for women with men, is to, I mean, I guess it's applicable, but your partner also needs what you need, and you are not the same person. So a lot of arguments start in a place of you expecting them to be like you. Like, I would have done this. Well, then you should have done it because you guys maybe not be the way they do things, you know? So we have to also learn who they are and how they are with their initiative, with their actions. Maybe they need a nudge. Maybe they don't like the nudge, and that's kind of like a reverse psychology approach. And, you know, the more you say something, the more they're not doing it. Or
Hmm.
so never be afraid to ask for help, but also learn who they are and not expect yourself out of them. Um, and also don't think men, even if they put on their game face and stuff, they want to be appreciated just as much as you do. They need to have
Absolutely.
those affirmations. They need to know they're looking good that day. They need to know they're doing something okay. If they do something minor, like make it known, like be their cheerleader. Like, you're gonna raise each other up. Like,
Absolutely.
you can't just be sitting back like, I'm the queen, I'm the princess, you gotta treat me. Like, no, he's your king too. You know?
Right. Absolutely. And they feel more empowered. You have to know how to empower people. And even the person in a relationship. I have a book club that I'm a part of. And actually, one of the books that we're reading right now, I'll show you guys, is the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in this book, it talks about really taking yourself out of the equation and making someone else, arousing someone else to their greater one, being able to help them see themselves and make it about them. And so if you want the garbage taken out and you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't he throw out the garbage? Instead of you fussing and nagging, you say, you know what? Oh my gosh, babe, you look so amazing when you pick up that garbage. Like, your muscles, like, did you got extra, like, oh my gosh. Now he's like, oh, I'm taking the garbage out every time. She's looking at me like I'm Superman, right? So being able to empower them to get them to do what you want, but also making sure that they feel good as well. And for most men, word of affirmations is one of their key love languages. Let him feel like a superhero.
Just don't make it a habit to do it for all the chores. Like, okay, like I don't look good doing this. Oh, but
Right.
with dishes though, you looking fine.
Yep.
But come from a place of authenticity, because
Yeah.
you're doing it with the intention to receive, it's gonna backfire. And they're gonna
Mhm.
call you out on it. They're gonna feel that they're gonna know it, just like
Right.
you would, just like you would. It's no different than trying to trick your toddler into doing something that they would not have otherwise done, but now they think it's like the coolest thing ever because reverse psychology is great.
Right. But this has been so great. I'm so glad that you had me on, and I hope that those that were watching and will watch have gotten some great value from what it is that we shared tonight, and me in particular, of what I shared, and that you guys see greater results, both not only in your relationships with others, but also within yourself.
I don't know if you want to close this out real quick with this one and then head out, or you want to go now.
Absolutely. I'll answer this one. So,
I figured because with our differences, this might be a good closing out.
mhm. So I want to say to that, it's weird because part of me wants to say yes, and then there's a part of me that wants to say no. And the reason why I say that is that I do believe that there's a certain aspect of us that can come together and be destiny, like purpose. I mentioned that earlier on. My spouse, my husband has to align with my purpose. And so in that purpose, there's destiny. There's a call on my life, there's a call on his life. Now, is it necessarily fate? Well, we have a choice, right? So while something may be, fate, or it could be fate, you have to decide whether you're going to go that route or not. And so based on our steps and how we maneuver in life can determine if something was fate or if it was just a matter of you choosing. And so I believe a great deal in alignment and having that divine alignment with where I believe God will have you to be in life and where that other person will be. And together you come and something's really impactful and powerful. But I don't believe that, okay, let's just say if it was fate and this person decides to no longer be in a relationship, does that mean the fate was done, that it didn't really happen? So it doesn't have to be fate, but it could be very purposeful. If that makes sense.
Yep. No, I actually like 110% agree with that. And also, too, with the idea of fate in mind, that does not mean something's fated. Like, people will stay in situations, or I'm cursed, I'm going to be doomed to be alone forever. My whole family's doomed to be, we're always in this rut of bad men. I've had bad men my entire life. Like, or you see these things and it's like, that's just my destiny. Like, that's just what my life is going to be. And you sit into that. That's because you're feeding that energy. Like, you're
Exactly.
keeping it
And
there.
you believe it.
Believe it.
That's the other thing. You have to believe better and know that generational curses can be broken. Like just because your mom and your grandmother all have bad relationships, that does not mean you have to be that person to continue it on.
Yep.
You can choose to have a different perspective. You can choose to have higher standards. You can choose to grow. See, a lot of times the relationships that your mother or maybe your grandmother may have had or their aunts or whomever, it's because they didn't have a level of understanding or education. And I don't just mean traditional education, but I mean personal growth, growing into themselves, knowing what they can actually deserve and what kind of lifestyle they can have. And because of that, they carried on the same habits. But the moment you choose to have different habits, learn more information, surround yourself with people that actually have what you aspire to have, you then get to believe it. And the moment you choose to believe something, it becomes a conviction for you. You know that, hey, I'm not settling for that. I know there's more. But this is why exposure is very important too. Exposing yourself to what other than what you've been accustomed to, because that builds your belief and now you're able to have a life that you actually desire.
Yes.
So
And that ends with your tagline, go get your life.
yes, go get your life. Only believe until the end and go get your life. So thank you so much, Jennifer, again for having me on. And I just want to speak a word of blessings and peace over all the people that are watching. Be encouraged. I know that there's so many different things going on in the world right now. And I just want you to know that, God is love. We started this whole conversation about love. And just knowing that I am loved. You are loved, whether you're in a relationship or not. You are loved, and keep that love, pursue that love, and all is well. So thank you. Good night.
All right. Thank you for coming on. How about the next one?
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. So I am definitely feeling under the weather today. So thank you so much for your patience with me and my foggy head. um, hello. That's great. So if anyone has any other questions that we didn't touch upon or anything like that, feel free to message me. Not message me, write in the comments. Tonight I'm not doing any readings. So if you came on here for readings, that's not what we're doing. This is Talk Show Tuesday. I do these occasionally on Tuesdays with different guests, usually authors. We've had Christopher Penjack. We talked about shadow work and the shadow self. Today was a Valentine's Day special. So we talked about all things love life and maintaining healthy relationships and everything. So on that note, I wanted to talk real quick about a new kit that I came out with in honor of today's talk show. Because, we had two different perspectives. I come from a pagan slash Christian hoodoo background, and she is absolutely 110% a woman of God. We actually met at a Christian retreat. So with that in mind, so I'm going to give you guys some information about this. So there's 4 different kits. They're a limited edition. There's only 3 of each available. They're custom. I'm going to screen share real quick to show you, so that way I don't have to bore you with my words. Let's see, share screen. So on my website, so if you're still with me, thank you. So on my website here, you should be able to see me. All right, very good. Just gonna pull this down real quick. I hope I didn't lose it. Did I lose it? All right. So right here, we're gonna go up to the website, Shop Maeva's Cottage, boxes, sets, and kits. So this is just gonna add that extra flavor. We talked about this in the beginning, because there is no shame in adding to your game, okay? And it's not about against free will. People can do it for that purpose, but it's not always like that. So here we have the 4 different kits. So these are 4 different ones. So this one's more targeted for the single person. These are not gender specific. There's actually a form to fill out when you select these to give me more information. So the first one is self-heal and find love. And these are what's included. The next one is attract and get some. So if you're no shame all game and you're just looking for some action, this one's for you. This can also go for if you're in a relationship and you need some extra spice and flavor in that. And then save, repair, and nourish is if, relationships stable and healthy, but it's struggling and we need to do some work and kind of get it going along. As long as you're doing purposeful work alongside with it, this will not do the work for you, but it definitely helps enhance it. And then the last one is strengthen and maintain. So this is kind of, you're already in a relationship. Things are okay. Things are good. We're stable. But we just want to kind of spice it up a little bit, not too much, a little extra pizzazz and flavor, and just kind of strengthen and make sure that we kind of seal the deal. So that's kind of what that one is. Each of them have 3 of them. So then you would pick these from these 4, and then you would you go purchase, and then it would come up with this form. I want to make this very clear because I am very, very passionate about this topic. Excuse me. At the bottom of this form, so even if, I guess I have to make another form for that, but so at the bottom of this form, I ask if you feel safe at home or with your partner. We didn't touch too much on this topic tonight, and I'm kind of glad because I'm having a rough day, and this is a very, very, very passionate topic for me. So if you do not feel safe at home with your partner, I invite you to be completely honest in this form. So you can answer this. And then I also have this if you would like to have your information on file for me. So that way I'm here, I give you my cell phone number and you can text the word unsubscribe because it is not a robot. So it can look like that. So that's a way, it's a way to kind of navigate around your partner without making it obvious. So you can unsubscribe and be like, they won't look at your phone and say like, what is this about? Because it might have been spam. You delete it and then you sent unsubscribe. And when I see this code word, I will use the contact information below to reach out for professional help. I'll call the police of your district to let them know where you are. Of course, if you have safety and you can give me more information as to your whereabouts, but your cell phone number, they'll know who you are, and I'm sure they could find where you are. So I want to just put that out there because this is always a safe space. I always will do whatever I can, no matter how far away you are from me. Again, this is something that I've been through for way too long. In fact, one of the biggest reasons for my hardship for today has to do with that having been my background. So very passionate about that. Do not hesitate to reach out, message me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't really look at much, but I check it now and then. But if it's time sensitive, that is my cell phone number, my business cell phone. So you can always text that to me. You don't have to use unsubscribe. You can give me details if you have the ability to give information. And then kind of let me know, and I can do things around it so that way you did not call. I can also give you resources and look them up for you and give you contact information or anything that you need. So that is on the form for this. And then I also ask questions because we're all about all the love. Love is equality. Bedtime, hopefully, for you now. Almost getting there. Yes. More recently, in my past, growing up, like in high school and stuff, I looked a lot like Jessica Simpson, but I've had some physical changes to my face over time, so I no longer fit that mold. But yeah, I've heard that Sabrina, and then there was somebody else too that someone brought up. I don't even remember, um, but yeah, I've heard that. So this video will be saved. You can watch this again. I'm also going to it'll be saved to my YouTube because it's streaming YouTube right now as well. So it's automatically already saved to my YouTube channel as well as Facebook. So as soon as I close this out, it's available for replay. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's chat. Definitely check out those boxes if you're interested in any of them. They are limited edition, 3 each, so there's 12 available total. And once they're gone, they're gone. They are customizable, and that's why there's a form there. So I'm going to make them for you, and I give you step-by-step instructions that are tailored towards you and your goals. No, I'm not, but I'm putting on my game face and showing up because I believe in myself and I believe in helping others above my own needs. And so I really, really wanted to do this tonight because I feel like somebody out there needed tonight's conversation. I have the rest of the night to relax, so I will definitely resume to that. And I needed a distraction because it was a very stressful and scary kind of emotional day for me. Thank you, Ashley. So now that it's just us and there's a few of you on, no, I'm not going to say it because it's going to be saved and I don't want to edit this. So we're not going to edit this at all. Does anybody have any other relationship or single life, self-love kind of questions for me? Or any questions about those boxes, kind of like why I put what I have in there, why I'm including those things, what's the difference between the 4? I'm sorry if I'm like going all over the place. I'm keeping my equilibrium straight and also reading comments on the side of the screen and then looking at where my face is on this side. Also, I got good news, PayPal. So I do a lot of hoodoo work, like conjure. Um, and I was an eclectic Wiccan for a very long time. since, let me see here. I, 21, 21 years. I was following a Wiccan path for like 21 years. And then I read a book and it completely changed everything for me. And I changed paths like on a drop of a dime and went way more into the hoodoo path. And that was Old Style Conjure by Starcassus. And so that's kind of more of what I've been doing. And I like that it's more hands on and very kind of to the point and a lot less ritualistic in terms of casting circles and ceremonial kind of tools and things. There's tools, there's still efforts and things to be done, but I like the approach. It resonated the most with me, and that's ultimately the goal, is to make sure you find something that resonates with you that you can maintain and keep up with. And that was to answer that question. My eyes are doing okay. Sorry, eyes are watering. I am a mess today. So this eye right now today, I have optic neuritis on top of everything else that I'm not talking about, but that's I'm crying. My eyes are bugging out. All right, so I don't see any more questions. I can hop off so that way you guys can watch the replay, but definitely check out those boxes. I'm super excited and passionate about those. I love doing these kits and these boxes. Oh, question, yay. Good. Can a relationship be more for one of us than for both? Yes. Should it be? Not necessarily, but can it be? Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and sometimes too, I feel like the other partner who more or less is the kind of either or, um, is oftentimes literally feeling either or. And those are the people that are very either confident in themselves or very unconfident in themselves. So it's kind of like both ways. And what I mean by that is a lot of times relationships, they need that person, they need that partner to feel okay and to like, and that's not okay. But that's something like they don't get as much out of the relationship because they're showing up because they feel either that they have to be or that they should be, or that this is what, this is what a normal household looks like. This is what a family looks like. This is what partnership looks like, even though deep down they could care less. Like if you broke up with them, they probably wouldn't be so broken about it. They'd get on pretty quickly. Um, and I definitely would refrain from that kind of relationship because that's just not what you want, especially if you're on the end who feels that and you're the one getting more of it, more out of it and giving more to it. And who wants to feel like that? And then you run the risk of insecurities and wondering like if they feel that way, then are they gonna leave? Is one day just gonna be like super random and they're just not gonna be there anymore because they're not getting as much out of it as I am. So ultimately, the goal is to find a relationship that starts with a strong foundation of friendship. Like you want to fall in love with your best friend. And I always recommend, starting that strong foundation. And a lot of times, especially now, we're swiping. I've never done these, but we're swiping left and right and accepting people and denying people based on appearance, based on a biography. And we're not really giving much thought to like developing deep connections. People are at restaurants, they're on their phones, um, and it's a different time now. It's a different time now. So time to get back to like old fashioned roots and just build like a strong bond, connection, friendship first, and let that flourish because it is so much safer. It's so much more fun. It definitely has more potential to last longer. Now, there's a difference between creating your best friend and dating your best friend. Because I see a lot of times too, relationships, you'll be start you maybe you have an opposite sex or same sex, whatever, you may start developing feelings for your actual best friend. Perhaps you've been friends for 10 years and all of a sudden these emotions start developing, or a threshold gets crossed and you maybe cross a line once or twice, and then it kind of gets into that, like, should we do this? Like, should this be a relationship? Like, I love you, yes, but like, is it enough to be a relationship, or do I love you and can picture that because you're my best friend? So there's a difference there. Sometimes that works out wonderfully, but most times, uh, falling in love with your best friend can, is it worth the gamble of potentially losing that friendship if something were to happen in that relationship? So unless you really like both are on the same page and have written out and discussed expectations and possibilities for both worst case and best case scenarios. um, but what I mean by building friendships is you meet somebody and then you take it slow. You get to know them, ask them questions, ask them their values, ask them their beliefs, ask them their ambitions, their goals, what they do, what they did. And don't define somebody's presence by their past. So there's little hints and flags in their past, I'm sure. Like if something scary were to come up in it. Maybe they were in prison before, but that's not a make or break deal. People do change, and I don't always believe in giving the benefit of the doubt until otherwise. They both need me. I want to feel more. So I don't understand that question or that phrase. They both need me, meaning two different people, two different relationship people, exes or current. But I think this is my sign of my body telling me it's time to shut down because I am crashing and I can feel it. So I have very minimal mobility right now. My face is moving okay, but I can definitely feel this side. Of, well, camera's backwards, but this side over here is dropping on me. So I'm going to get off before my speech starts slurring. So have a good night and thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you guys in the next live. And I can't remember what I'm doing here. Here we go. All right. Bye, guys.